NVIDIA just announced DLSS 5 and the internet, as always, went to war. On one side, people are calling it the biggest graphical leap since ray tracing back in 2018. On the other, you've got people saying NVIDIA is basically slapping an Instagram filter on games and destroying the original art direction. Today, I want to go against the noise. I'm not interested in blind hype, but I'm also not buying into exaggerated panic. Because the truth is, whether we like it or not, we're moving toward a future where almost every frame you see in a game will have some level of AI intervention. But that's not necessarily the apocalypse of gaming. If anything, this feels more like our Matrix moment. In theory, DLSS 5 injects photorealistic lighting and materials into pixels using neural models without changing the game's geometry. It's a beautiful promise, and in my opinion, it really does improve environments and objects on screen. But when it comes to human characters, things get weird. Characters like Grace in Resident Evil and NPCs in Starfield start to look overly processed, like they've been heavily filtered by AI. They fall straight into the uncanny valley. In Hogwarts Legacy, for example, some characters didn't look better, just more exaggerated, almost artificial. And honestly, people are right to complain. Our brains are wired to recognize faces. Even small lighting errors on human skin trigger an immediate sense that something is off. So even if the image is technically closer to reality, we instinctively reject it. That's the uncanny valley in action.
16 times the detail.
During the announcement, Digital Foundry, a massive YouTube channel focused on gaming tech, got early access to DLSS 5 and spoke very positively about it. Executives like Todd Howard from Bethesda and developers like JP Kellums, who worked on Bayonetta and now works on Fortnite, also came out strongly in support of the technology. Todd Howard even said that seeing DLSS 5 in Starfield finally matched the visual vision they originally had for the game. Personally, I don't think they're wrong. I just think they're choosing to focus on the right parts while ignoring the problems at the same time. Ryan Shrout, a veteran hardware journalist in the US, brought up an interesting point about why DLSS 5 looks so strange right now. He reminded people that for the past 20 years we've seen countless tech demos featuring hyper-realistic floating heads. And he's right. Even something like the Super Mario 64 start screen was designed to showcase graphical power, with Mario's face floating around for you to play with. But once you actually enter the game, things are much simpler. The industry has always been able to render highly detailed faces in isolation, just not inside full games because performance budgets didn't allow it. What DLSS 5 is doing is trying to close that gap. And because the difference is so dramatic, that's where all the attention goes. Creates a kind of psychological shock. We've seen great-looking environments before, but when that level of photorealism suddenly appears during gameplay, it clashes with what we expect a game to look like. But if you stop focusing on faces for a moment and look at everything else, the conversation changes. The overall image quality is clearly better. The lighting is more natural, the depth feels stronger, and scenes have more presence. And for the industry, this isn't just about visual quality. It's about production. Lighting that used to require huge budgets and time can now be achieved much faster. Environments feel more alive without the same development cost. And honestly, I'm all for games becoming cheaper and faster to make. This kind of tool points in that direction. Right now, people are focused on how strange some characters look, and in some cases, they really do look worse. I agree with that. But I also don't think it's fair to say this completely destroys the original artistic vision. At the same time, it's clear that this AI-driven look doesn't match the original style either. So if the technology still has obvious issues, why push it now? The answer has a lot to do with the industry and with money. AI right now is being heavily subsidized by billions of dollars in investment. Most AI companies, except NVIDIA, are operating at a loss and expect to stay that way for years. Because of that, there's massive pressure to justify these investments and make AI feel essential everywhere. But I'm actually optimistic. If you've been around long enough, you probably remember the Matrix and the bullet time effect. When it came out in 1999, it was revolutionary. Then suddenly every movie, every commercial, every game started copying it. Now, almost 30 years later, it's just another tool used when it actually makes sense. And I think we're seeing the same thing happen here. The industry is excited. But eventually, people will get tired of these weird AI filters, things will settle down, and the technology will become invisible, just another tool in the pipeline. I don't think DLSS 5 is the end of graphics as we know them. Feels more like a messy transition into the next phase. What I hope is that over time, these technologies become more subtle, improving the experience without the player even noticing. Because right now, there's still a trade-off. When NVIDIA introduced DLSS 4.5 with massive frame generation, it did make games smoother, no doubt about that. But it also increased input delay. You start to feel that drag, that heavier mouse movement, and that hurts the experience, especially in fast-paced games. So yeah, the tech is impressive, but it still comes with real compromises.